Hello students, once again I welcome you all in my new video for class 10, and this is the second video from the chapter Life Processes. In this video we will discuss about another very important life process that is known as respiration. But before we start today's discussion, today's session, I hope you all have completed the assignments of previous video which was based on the heterotrophic nutrition and the mode of nutrition in human beings, in which we have completed the digestion process, absorption process and excretion process, assimilation process in human beings, and I hope that was beneficial for you. So at the end of today's video I'll upload the answers related to the previous assignment, and I hope you are solving the questions in your NCERT book related to the nutrition topic, and you all are now able to solve the questions with the nutrition topic in human beings. So let's start today's discussion about respiration process. So the first questions that clicks in our mind is, what is respiration, or is it similar with the breathing process? Because at lower standard students think that it doesn't matter whether we call it breathing or respiration, both are the same processes. But students, maybe few of you are knowing at this level that breathing and respiration are not same processes. In fact, breathing is a part of a complex process that is known as respiration. So first we will see here what is respiration process. Respiration is a biochemical process in which food is oxidized to obtain energy. Biochemical means any chemical change that is occurring inside the living's body, and since respiration is a chemical change as well as a physical change, so we will discuss both of the physical and chemical changes during the discussion of this topic. So respiration is very essential for all living beings to obtain energy, and this process is enabling all the life forms present on earth to perform their vital activities with the help of energy that is obtained from the food material. So respiration can be divided into two subparts, and that is what external, which is also known as breathing process, or internal, which is also called as cellular respiration. So first we will see what is breathing process. Actually, you have seen the intake of air inside your lungs, and then we are going to remove the air out in the surrounding atmosphere. So what is breathing process? Breathing is a physical process. Remember student, breathing is only physical process, not chemical, because no new substances are going to form during this process, during this part of the respiration. Only some physical changes can be felt by us, and these changes we will discuss here. So breathing is a process of taking air inside the lungs and removing air out from the lungs. So when we are going to take air inside, this is called inhalation process, and when this same air, means the air filled inside the lungs, then we are going to remove it out in the atmosphere, this process is known as what? Exhalation. So breathing can classify in two subparts, inhalation and exhalation. When both of the inhalation and exhalation is completed, then we say it breathing process. So during inhalation, what are the changes that are going to take place in our body? Ribs, the bones in our chest, they are going to move outward because we are going to inhale air, so the ribs is going to expand outward, and it increases the chest cavity. Chest cavity means the region available in between the rib cage. So when we are going to fill the air during the inhalation process, it is going to increase the chest cavity, and diaphragm moves down. Diaphragm is a muscular seat on which our lungs are going to place. So when our lungs are going to expand inside, they are going to press diaphragm downside, and these are the physical changes which are going to happen during the inhalation process. So when we are going to expel air out from the lungs in the surrounding, so what are the changes that can be seen? Now during the exhalation process, the ribs are going to move inward because the air is expelled outside. So the chest cavity decreases, and when the chest cavity is going to decrease, the diaphragm will move upward because the lungs are going to relax. So now we can say breathing is a part of respiration, and it is only a physical process where our chest cavity is going to show some physical changes with the lungs and diaphragm. So what will happen when we are going to fill air inside our lungs? Actually, in lungs, millions of circular air sac structures are present, which are known as alveoli. So they are known as alveoli. Actually, these alveoli are the very thin structures and lined with blood capillaries, where blood is going to be transported through these alveoli. So when the air is filled in these alveoli, the oxygen, because newly fresh inhaled air is having more concentration of oxygen, and in our blood is having less concentration of oxygen. So by simple diffusion process, the oxygen from the inhaled air is going to diffuse into the blood capillaries in alveoli, and meanwhile from blood capillaries, carbon dioxide gas, which is formed inside our body during this respiration process, is going to diffuse out in alveoli with the same diffusion process. And when the exchange of gases is going to happen, we are going to now remove the air during the exhalation process. So one very important question is asked in the examination, that what is the site for exchange of gases during the respiration process? Then you can answer. Now you are knowing the site of exchange of gases is what? Alveoli. Never write their lungs, because at this standard it is expected from you that you are having a knowledge of what? Alveoli, and it is the site of the exchange of gases in human beings during the respiration process. So now when the oxygen is absorbed in the blood capillaries in alveoli, it is transported through the help of blood to each and every cell of the body. And in the previous video we have discussed a process that is known as digestion process. So digestion is what? Breaking down of complex food into simple food. And at the end of that topic, during the nutrition process, you have read that the soluble forms are going to absorb into the blood and they will be transported to each cell. So one very important nutrient that is known as glucose, is already present inside the cells during the completion of nutrition process, and now we are going to take air, means especially oxygen, and this oxygen is going to again transported to the cells where glucose is already present. So the next topic will start, that is what? Cellular respiration, and it is the part in which the chemical change is going to happen, and mainly this is responsible to obtain energy. So what is cellular respiration? It is oxidation of glucose inside the cells, and after the oxidation of glucose, the energy is going to release. So glucose is oxidized. Oxidized means with the help of oxygen, glucose will be broken down inside our body, and as a result, carbon dioxide and energy will be released. when we talk about our body, students, this is what I am showing you a common representation of respiration process, because in the next segment we will see the respiration. The cellular respiration may be of two types, aerobic and anaerobic. So I have written here only the basic, the common thing in which glucose will be broken down, and the main motive of this respiration process is what? To obtain energy. So this energy will be obtained whether the organisms are breaking down the glucose in the presence of oxygen or in the absence of oxygen. So the energy that is obtained through the respiration process, it is in the form of ATP. ATP and ADP are what? Actually, these are the coins of energy, and these are responsible to provide energy to the cells whenever any cell is needed the energy. So ADP is what? A for adenosine and D for di. P represents phosphate. So adenosine diphosphate, in the same way adenosine triphosphate. Adenosine is what? An organic compound made up of carbon, hydrogen, oxygen and nitrogen, and in the next class you will read about the nucleic acids which are responsible to synthesize our genetic materials, DNA and RNA. So adenosine, you will see there the nitrogenous base. Phosphate is what? In the chemistry you have read this. Phosphate is a group of phosphorus and oxygen represented by PO4 and 3 minus, means it is what? An ionic form. So mainly adenosine triphosphate, ATP, is responsible to provide energy, and it is what? High energy content, and the ADP is what? Low energy content. So we will see the methods of oxidation that we were discussing here, that glucose will be broken down to obtain energy. So this may be possible through aerobically or anaerobically. So during aerobic process, what is happening there? It involves oxygen, means this breaking down of glucose will take oxygen, and since the oxygen is going to break down the glucose, the oxidation will be what? Complete, and through this complete oxidation, carbon dioxide and water will be produced as the product, and a lot of energy will be released, and this energy will be what? 38 ATP, as we have discussed here, that ATP is what? The coins for energy. So here we will see 38 ATP will be released after the breaking down of one molecule of glucose. What is anaerobic process? Anaerobic means what? In the absence of oxygen. So few of the organisms in our surrounding, like some bacteria, and sometimes even in our body cells also, like in muscle cells, when we are going to do some vigorous exercise, so at that condition our muscle cells are not able to absorb sufficient oxygen. So at that time, during the insufficient supply of oxygen, our muscle cells also perform this kind of respiration that is known as anaerobic respiration. And in yeast, a group of fungi, this respiration can also be seen. So anaerobic respiration, what? It is a respiration that is going to happen in the absence of oxygen, and the products will be, when we are talking about the yeast, the product will be what? Ethyl alcohol and carbon dioxide gas with the release of less amount of energy. You can see the difference here. Here in aerobic respiration 38 ATP are released, but here in anaerobic respiration only 2 ATP are going to form. And when we talk about our muscle cell, in our muscle cell, lactic acid is going to produce with the release of energy. Here we are not going to release, means in our muscle cells you can see the products CO2 is not available here, because the whole molecule of glucose having 6 carbon, 12 hydrogen, 6 oxygen is going to split into 2 molecule of lactic acid, which is formula you can see here, C3H6O3. So 2 molecules of lactic acid will be formed from the 1 molecule of glucose, and this is responsible for a condition in our muscles that is known as muscular cramps, in which we feel pain, and this muscular cramp can be avoided by supplying hot water or by massage, because it increases the blood supply in that particular region, and when the blood supply increases, the demand of oxygen is fulfilled, and immediately then this lactic acid will be converted again into carbon dioxide and water, and thus the muscular cramp condition can be overcome. So this was all. In the next segment we will see what is actually happening in aerobic and anaerobic respiration and how the energy is going to obtain. Means what are the two steps involved in the respiration process. So the two steps involved in respiration process are glycolysis and Krebs cycle. So now we are going to start the next segment, in which we are going to discuss about the glycolysis and Krebs cycle. So the mechanism of respiration or the chemical changes during the cellular respiration can be classified in two steps. The first one is glycolysis and the other one is known as Krebs cycle. So what is the first one, glycolysis? Actually, when the glucose is present inside the cell in cytoplasm, after the absorption and assimilation process during the nutrition process, so this glucose will be converted into another new substance that is known as pyruvic acid or pyruvate. So the conversion of glucose into pyruvic acid or pyruvate is known as glycolysis. And this glycolysis process was discovered by three scientists, Embden, Meyerhoff and Parnas. So this glycolysis process is also known as EMP pathway on behalf of these scientists' name. So what is happening here? You can see, students, glucose is going to convert it into this compound is known as pyruvate or pyruvic acid, and this whole process is happening where? Inside the cytoplasm. So glucose, you know, it is a compound of 6 carbon atom. So one molecule of glucose is going to break down into 2 molecules of pyruvic acid, because in pyruvic acid this compound is made up of 3 carbon atoms. So 6 carbon atom is going to split into 2 molecules of 3 carbon atom, that is known as pyruvic acid. And in this pyruvic acid you are having a knowledge of ketonoic group and carboxylic acid group in your chemistry subject also. So in this you can see CH3COCOOH, this compound is known as pyruvic acid. So when this pyruvic acid is present in the cytoplasm, it is carried to the mitochondria, because in your previous classes you have read this, that mitochondria is known as the powerhouse of cell because it is responsible to generate energy. So this pyruvic acid will be again broken down into simplest forms with a number of series of chemical reactions, and a variety of products will be formed. And the second step is known as what? Krebs cycle or citric acid cycle. Actually, this is known as citric acid cycle because the first product that is formed after the oxidation of pyruvate is citric acid. So on the basis of the first product of this cycle, this is known as citric acid cycle, and this was discovered by a scientist, Hans Krebs. So on behalf of him, this cycle is also known as Krebs cycle. So what is happening during the Krebs cycle? This one is common, you know, it is happening in aerobic and anaerobic respiration, both of them, and this process is known as what? Glycolysis, and it is happening in cytoplasm. But after the pyruvate is formed in cytoplasm, what is happening now? When we are considering about anaerobic respiration or fermentation in yeast, this pyruvate, that is chemical formula is here, this pyruvate will be converted into ethyl alcohol and CO2 with release of energy, and this energy will be what? Very released to ATP, energy will be released. The same thing, Krebs cycle, because anaerobically in our muscle cells also this can happen. So this pyruvate will be broken down only into lactic acid. Actually, it is not broken down, it is conversion of pyruvic acid into lactic acid. And when this pyruvate is going to be converted with the help of oxygen, that is aerobic respiration, it is happening in mitochondria, then the complete oxidation will take place and this pyruvate will be converted into carbon dioxide gas, water, and a lot of energy in the form of 38 ATP will be released. So this was all the mechanism of respiration and aerobic and anaerobic respiration. A number of questions are asked from this, again very important life process that is happening in all living beings, whether from aerobic respiration or anaerobic respiration, or what is glycolysis, or where glycolysis is going to happen in cytoplasm or in mitochondria, or which part of the respiration mechanism is going to happen in mitochondria. Then you know Krebs cycle during the aerobic respiration is going to take place in mitochondria, and all the other processes are going to take place in cytoplasm, like fermentation in yeast and anaerobic respiration. So I hope this topic is now little bit clear to you. This video maybe provide you a help to understand all these processes. So for today this was all, and we will see the next topics of the chapter in the next video. So till then we will meet in the next video. Take care of yourself and be safe.